Welcome to another episode of Deep Dive into Real Estate by Team Luddy Dillon. This is the place where we simplify real estate for you, one topic at a time. Enjoy.
All right, so you're selling your house. You've found a buyer, and things are moving along smoothly. Then comes the home inspection.
Yes.
Dun, dun, dun. It can feel a little scary, like a monster under the bed.
Right.
But what if I told you it doesn't have to be that way?
It really doesn't.
In this deep dive, we're going to unpack some seriously smart strategies to not only survive the inspection, but maybe even use it to your advantage.
Exactly. And we are all about empowering you with the knowledge to navigate real estate like a pro.
You know, we are part of Laddie Tillon's real estate team,
That's right.
helping people make smart decisions since 2007, whether you're buying, selling, investing, especially in the Peel region.
Absolutely. Brampton, Caledon, Mississauga.
Give Laddie a call at 905-598-0725.
Before making any decisions.
Yeah. So one of the things that might be surprising is how much psychology goes into a successful inspection.
Yes.
For instance, cleanliness.
Yes.
And I don't just mean tidy, I mean sparkling clean.
Sparkling clean.
So beyond just making the house look nice, what's the strategy here?
So think of it this way. A spotless house sends a subtle message to the inspector that you care about your property. You maintain it well, like a subconscious halo effect that can actually influence how they perceive those minor issues that every house has.
Interesting. So it's not just about appearances. It's about creating that positive first impression.
Yes.
It's like dressing for success, but for your house.
Yes, dressing your house for success.
Okay, love it.
And speaking of first impressions,
Yeah?
let's not forget timeliness.
Okay.
You know that feeling when someone shows up unexpectedly?
Oh, yeah. Like when you're scrambling to hide the laundry mountain.
Oh.
Not my proudest moment.
Right, exactly. So imagine that scenario with a home inspector
Well, I mean,
who might arrive early and start examining the exterior.
they could do that.
Yeah. So being ready on time not only shows professionalism, but also shows respect for the buyer's time.
Right. You don't want the inspector's first impression to be you in your bathrobe frantically trying to unlock the door.
No. No, you do not.
That would not be ideal. Okay, so we got the house sparkling clean.
Yes.
We're ready on time.
Check.
This next one might seem obvious, but you'd be amazed how often it's overlooked.
Yes.
Utilities.
Utilities.
We're talking making sure every single utility is on and functioning properly.
Yes.
I'm assuming this is about more than just letting the inspector turn the lights.
It is.
So what's the deeper reason here?
Inspectors need to test major systems.
Okay.
They need to see that they work. Imagine trying to check electrical grounding with the power off, or assess appliance safety without being able to run them.
Oh.
You're setting yourself up for delays,
Right.
potential deal breakers. The buyer could back out if they think the systems haven't been properly evaluated.
Wow, I never thought about it that way. So something as simple as forgetting to turn on the water heater could have huge repercussions.
Absolutely.
Wow. So we want to make sure those utilities are on.
All of them.
Okay, great. So we got the house sparkling.
Yeah.
We're ready on time. Utilities are humming. What's next?
Accessibility is key. So picture this. The inspector's trying to access the water heater, but it's like an obstacle course of boxes and storage bins.
Yeah, that does not sound ideal.
Not at all.
Yeah.
They need to get to everything.
Yeah.
That attic, the basement, crawl spaces, everything.
Okay.
If they can't get to it easily, it slows down the inspection.
Yeah.
And it can also make the buyer think you're hiding something.
Right?
So decluttering now can save you a lot of hassle later on.
Okay, I like that. So decluttering is key.
It is.
All right, next one. This one's a little bit of a curveball.
Okay.
Pilot lights.
Pilot lights.
I wouldn't have thought they were a big deal.
You would be surprised.
Okay.
A lot of inspectors won't relight pilot lights due to liability.
Oh.
So if your furnace or water heater pilot light is out, guess what? Those systems might not get checked at all.
Hold on. So a tiny detail like a pilot light could potentially derail the whole closing process.
It absolutely can.
Wow.
It really is a little thing.
It is. And while we're on the topic of access,
Don't forget about those hidden areas. Basements, attics, crawl spaces, even outdoor sheds. Everything needs to be accessible.
okay, so we need to channel our inner Sherlock Holmes and make sure there are no locked doors or blocked pathways.
Absolutely. Any restricted access just raises a red flag for buyers. Makes them wonder if you're hiding something,
Right?
which could lead to more scrutiny
Yeah.
and potentially uncover problems you didn't even know you had.
So transparency is key.
Transparency is key.
Okay, so we've tackled cleanliness,
Uh-huh.
timeliness, utilities, accessibility. What's next?
Documentation.
Okay.
You want to think of this as showcasing your home's resume.
Okay.
A resume of good behavior. So gather all those records, repairs, upgrades, maintenance, anything that shows you've taken good care of the property.
So instead of just saying, oh yeah, we replaced the roof a few years ago, I can actually show them the receipts.
Yes. Receipts for new roof, warranties for appliances, logs for HVAC servicing. This is all gold.
Oh, wow. So it's like saying, look, I've got nothing to hide. This house is in tip-top shape. Yeah. I love it. Okay, so we've prepped the house like a champion. Now the big day arrives.
Yeah.
The inspection itself. What's the best strategy for sellers during the inspection?
So it's a little bit like that awkward family dinner where you just want to disappear.
Right.
You need to give the buyer and the inspector space. Let them explore the house freely and ask questions without feeling like they're being watched or judged.
So maybe just grab a coffee and let the professionals do their thing.
Exactly. You don't want to hover and make anyone uncomfortable.
Right.
And hey, while you're at it, maybe find a safe, quiet space for your pets, too.
Okay.
Inspections can take a while.
Yeah.
Best to keep furry friends out of the way for everybody's comfort and safety.
That is a great point.
Yeah.
Now, before we move on, I just want to quickly remind everybody about Laddie Tillin and our amazing team.
Yes.
If you are even thinking about buying, selling, or investing in real estate, especially in the Peel region, give Laddie a call at 905-598-0725.
That's right.
He's been helping people in the area since 2007, and his expertise is truly unmatched. All right, now that we've covered all the pregame prep,
Yes.
let's get into the nitty-gritty of what happens during the inspection.
Okay.
Stay tuned for part 2 of our deep dive where we break down all the action.
I'll see you there. Welcome back to the deep dive. So we've prepped the house, the inspector's here, and now the real show begins.
Okay, so if I'm the seller, what should I actually be doing during the inspection? Should I just hide in the basement and hope for the best?
Not at all. You actually have a valuable role to play here. You don't want to hover over the inspector or interfere with their work.
Right.
But being present allows you to answer any questions they might have about the house's history or past repairs.
Okay.
Think of yourself as like a helpful resource,
Yeah.
not a micromanager.
So more about offering context and insights. It's like I'm being a knowledgeable tour guide for my own house.
Exactly. You know your home better than anyone. You can point out those subtle improvements that might not be obvious. Highlight those unique features. Explain why you chose a certain type of flooring. Things like that.
Okay, makes sense. And this is where all that documentation that we talked about earlier comes in handy.
Absolutely. This is the perfect time to share those repair records, warranties, maintenance logs with the inspector and the buyer. It's a great way to demonstrate transparency and show that you've been proactive about maintaining your home.
Yeah, it's like giving your house a glowing recommendation letter. I love that. Okay, so let's be real. Even the most well-maintained houses can have minor issues. What if the inspector starts uncovering things? Should I, panic?
Not at all. The inspector is there to identify potential problems. That's their job, to be thorough.
Yeah.
Even small issues will get noted. Most buyers expect some minor repairs, and these are often easily addressed during negotiations.
Okay, so a few minor issues aren't a deal breaker. It's all about perspective. What kind of things should I expect to see on an inspection report?
So the report will usually include a detailed description of the house's systems and components, and it will note any deficiencies or areas of concern. So don't be alarmed if it seems really long, or if it includes a lot of items. Remember, inspectors are trained to be thorough, so even small things will be documented.
So it's important to not freak out at first glance. How should I approach actually reading through it?
The key is to focus on the severity of the issues that are noted.
Okay.
The report will usually categorize them. So you'll see major issues like structural problems, safety hazards, things that need immediate attention, and then minor issues like a loose doorknob or a dripping faucet. These can usually be handled after closing. It's all about prioritizing.
Got it. So separate the urgent from the cosmetic. This is where having a good real estate agent can be a huge help.
Absolutely. A skilled agent can guide you through this process, helping you understand the report, prioritize those repairs, and negotiate effectively with the buyer.
So it's like having a trusted advisor in your corner, helping you navigate these potentially tricky waters. Okay, so we've talked about the inspector, the report. What about interacting with the buyer during this whole process? It feels like a bit of a dance.
Yeah, it is a dance. It's about finding that balance between being helpful and giving the buyer space.
Right.
Let them explore freely, but be available to answer any questions they might have. Think of it as being a friendly resource. not a salesperson.
Right. So it shouldn't be like following them around, pointing out every little upgrade.
Exactly. They need to feel comfortable asking questions.
Yeah.
And forming their own opinions about the house without feeling pressured.
Okay. And I imagine it's also important to avoid getting defensive if the buyer raises concerns about certain aspects of the house.
Absolutely. You're going to feel a little bit protective of your home.
Yeah.
But the buyer is just trying to gather information and make an informed decision.
Right.
So just listen to their concerns, offer explanations where appropriate, and just try to maintain a positive and collaborative attitude.
So be open, be helpful, but don't take it personally. It's all part of the process.
Exactly. Now let's talk about something that can often cause anxiety for sellers. The inspection report. It can feel like a judgment day for your home.
Yeah. Deep breaths, everyone.
But it's important to remember that it's simply a document that outlines the inspector's findings.
Okay, so how should I approach this report? It feels like a lot of pressure.
First, don't be alarmed if the report seems long or includes a lot of items. Remember, inspectors are trained to be thorough, and often even minor issues will be noted.
Okay.
What's important is understanding the severity of the issues noted
Right.
and whether they require immediate attention.
So how do I know what needs immediate attention versus what can wait?
The report will usually categorize issues by their level of severity. So major issues like structural problems or safety hazards, those should be addressed promptly. Minor issues, like a loose doorknob or a dripping faucet, can often be handled after closing.
Okay, so it's all about separating those must-fix nails from the minor cosmetic stuff. This feels a little overwhelming. Do I have to figure all this out on my own?
Not at all. You don't have to tackle everything on your own. You can consult with contractors, get quotes, and negotiate with the buyer on who will handle which repairs. It's a collaborative process.
Right, so it's like assembling a team to tackle those home inspection hurdles.
Yeah.
Speaking of teams, I just want to remind everyone that if you're feeling overwhelmed by any of this, Laddie Dillon and his team are here to guide you through every step of the process. They've got years of experience navigating real estate transactions, and their expertise can be invaluable, especially during a potentially stressful time like a home inspection.
Absolutely. They're dedicated to providing their clients with the guidance and support they need to make informed decisions and achieve their real estate goals.
All right, so we've covered the inspection itself, the dreaded report, and how to handle potential issues. Now let's talk about the final stage of this process, negotiating repairs and moving towards closing. Buckle up because we're diving into the final part of our deep dive. Okay, we're back for the final part of our home inspection deep dive. We've prepped the house, we've decoded the inspection report, and now it's time to tackle that last hurdle, negotiating repairs and finally getting to closing.
That's right. This is where things can get a bit tricky, but it's all about finding solutions that work for both you and the buyer.
Okay, so let's say the inspection report does reveal a few issues. Do I have to fix absolutely everything the inspector flags?
Not necessarily. This is where negotiation comes in. You and the buyer will discuss the report's findings and decide which repairs are essential, who will be responsible, and how they'll be addressed.
So it's more of a give and take than a to-do list. Are there any specific strategies I can use during these negotiations?
Absolutely. It's important to remember that both parties want to reach a mutually agreeable solution and move forward with the sale. So let's say there are some major repairs that need to be addressed. You have a few options. You can agree to make the repairs before closing. You can offer a credit to the buyer to cover the cost of repairs, or you can negotiate a lower sale price to reflect the cost of those repairs.
So it's about finding a solution that makes sense financially and logistically for both sides. What if the report mostly highlights those minor repairs we talked about, like a leaky faucet or a sticky door?
Those are often easier to handle. In many cases, you can agree to address those minor repairs after closing or offer a small credit to the buyer to cover the cost.
Okay. So it's about being practical and reasonable. But even with those minor things, I think it still feels good to show the buyer that you're committed to a smooth transaction.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Addressing those small things demonstrates good faith, and it helps build trust even if they're not deal breakers. Now, of course, disagreements can happen during these negotiations.
Yeah, that's what I'm most worried about. How do I handle those conversations without derailing the entire deal?
The key is to remain calm, professional, and focused on solutions. Remember, negotiation is a process of give and take. Both parties need to be willing to compromise and find common ground.
So take a deep breath. Keep the bigger picture in mind. And don't get bogged down in those minor details.
Exactly. And remember, your real estate agent can be a huge help here. They can mediate those discussions and help facilitate a productive dialogue between you and the buyer.
It's like having a skilled diplomat on your side, smoothing out those rough edges. So once we've navigated those negotiations and addressed any repairs, we're finally on the road to closing.
That's right. Closing is that exciting moment when ownership of the property officially transfers from the seller to the buyer. You'll sign all the necessary paperwork, finalize any financial transactions, and hand over those keys.
It's the grand finale of the whole real estate journey. What should I expect at the closing table?
It can feel a little bit overwhelming with all the paperwork and legalities, but your real estate agent and your lawyer will guide you through every step. The main things you'll be doing are signing documents to officially transfer ownership, finalizing the financial side of the transaction, and receiving the keys to your new home, or handing them over if you're the seller.
A mix of excitement and relief, and maybe a few signature cramps. It's the culmination of all those months of hard work.
Exactly. And remember, even though the closing marks the official end of the transaction, it's not the end of your real estate journey. Whether you're a seasoned homeowner or a first-time buyer, there's always more to learn and explore in the exciting world of real estate.
Well said. And speaking of learning and exploring, I want to remind everyone that you don't have to navigate this journey alone. Laddie Tillin and his amazing team are here to guide you every step of the way, from finding the perfect property to that final celebratory handshake at the closing table.
Absolutely. They're passionate about empowering their clients with knowledge, expertise, and personalized support. So if you're thinking about buying, selling, or investing in real estate, especially in the Peel region, give Laddie a call at 905-598-0725. They're with you every step of the way.
And there you have it. We've demystified the home inspection, from pre-inspection prep to that final closing. Remember, knowledge is power, and by understanding this process, you can approach it with confidence and peace of mind.
And remember, even though home inspections can sometimes feel daunting, they're ultimately designed to protect both buyers and sellers and ensure a smooth and successful transaction. So embrace the process, ask questions, and remember you have a team of experts ready to support you.
That's a wrap on our deep dive into home inspections. We hope you found this episode informative and empowering. Thanks for joining us on the deep dive.
Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. We will be back with something new and something interesting.